Rick Crawford. Sir, thank you so much for joining us. So where are you and where is your thinking on all of this? What should people believe?
Well, I think we buried the lead here. Look, the strikes were wildly successful, and what did they accomplish? It'd be less about the damage they inflicted on the installations there and more about what they did to bring Iran to the table. And essentially, this strike led to peace in the Middle East. And I think if we can focus on that, we can get past all this rhetoric about how much damage was inflicted or was not inflicted. And I think that's the real point of the story.
But some of the fallout appears to be, Congressman, that the president is maybe not going to be so free in sharing classified information with Congress. This, according to Axios, quote, Trump to limit sharing classified info with Congress after leak on Iran bombing damage. We are declaring a war on leakers, a senior White House official said on Wednesday. Now, Caroline Leavitt said she didn't know if this leak came off Capitol Hill or if it came from someone within the DIA or someone else. But what do you think about the president and the notion that he's not going to be so quickly sharing classified information with you folks on Congress?
Well, I understand his feeling on that. I mean, I'm equally outraged about leaks wherever they came from, and it's our responsibility in my lane and as chairman of this committee to make sure that we're doing everything we can to be good stewards of classified information. So we are redoubling our efforts at the committee level to make sure that none of this kind of thing would ever happen on our watch, at least on my watch, making sure that we're doing everything right. But I understand the president's sentiment, but we have to be also conscious of the fact that Article 2 gives us authority to oversee the executive branch, and so there's a balance there that we need to strike. But we need to show the president that we're taking this seriously, and we are. And that's why we're redoubling our efforts to let him know that we can be trusted with classified material.
Well, Congressman, as you know, this White House continues to be pressed by the media on whether or not any of the uranium that was in Fort O, for example, was moved to begin with, noting the trucks that were pulling up. Caroline Leavitt was asked about this just a few moments ago, and here's how the White House is responding to that. Listen.
So we were watching closely, and there was no indication to the United States that any of that enriched uranium was moved prior to the strike.
So are you satisfied with that answer, or do you still have more questions about that?
Well, I can tell you this, that the president gets more and more in-depth intelligence than I get. And so if the president is satisfied with that, I'm satisfied with that, and I'm not going to question that.
So one other thing, and that is that there's supposed to be a classified briefing happening, and Democrats have been hopping up and down complaining about the fact that it hasn't happened yet. Now Senator Schumer is hopping up and down about the fact that he's only going to get the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of State there before his committee. Listen to what he said.
Now they're trying to get away with sending only the Secretary of State and Defense for tomorrow, instead of the usual intelligence officials that attend the briefings. Let's be very clear. Briefing from only the Secretaries of State and Defense would be woefully insufficient. If they are the only ones in attendance, they will only parrot whatever the president wants them to say.
What's your response to that, Congressman?
That's sort of par for the course for Senator Schumer, so I try not to pay much attention to what he says.
All right, Congressman, I appreciate your time and joining us today. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, we'll see you again soon.